May it please the court, Mr. Lawton, members of the jury, change your perspective and you will see something completely different. Today you will learn this case isn't really about Whit Bowman. The prosecution will tell you one story, combining the facts to create one possible picture. The picture Mr. Lawton presented you, it may seem finished. It may seem like all the facts are clear. But members of the jury, if you change your perspective, you'll see something completely different. If you pay attention to the center of this picture, at the trunk of the tree, you'll see two more faces. Just like at the center of this case, there are two more people. You'll learn that these were not Whit Bowman's crimes, that Cameron Poole was working with two other people. These two people were J.C. Longstreet, the park's owner, and Haley Floyd, the park's accountant. You'll learn that the three of them worked together to keep money off the books at Rock Your World in 2012. Taxes are a major expense for any business, which is why the three necessary pieces, the owner, the accountant, and the ticket booth operator, put a plan into motion. You'll learn that these fake admission wristbands were not only almost impossible to detect, but they kept large amounts of money out of Rock Your World's taxable revenue. The testimony will show that the fake admission wristbands that Cameron Poole used in 2012 were seen in the hands of the park's accountant, Haley Floyd, a year before Whit Bowman ever came to Rock Your World. But management's schemes started to unravel. The police were getting close, which is why on August 30th, J.C. Longstreet, Haley Floyd, and Cameron Poole staged this robbery that left Miss Bowman to take the fall. But as the defense, we don't have to prove that to you today. The state bears the only burden of proof in today's case, which is why they must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that three things are true. They must prove that Cameron Poole committed first, theft by deception, second, robbery in the first degree, and third, felony murder. And then they must prove that Whit Bowman was complicit in each and every one of Cameron Poole's crimes. So let's break that down. No one here will dispute that Cameron Poole was involved in this. But Cameron Poole's not the one on trial. Whit Bowman is. Which is why the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Miss Bowman legally aided Cameron Poole with the intent to further all three of his crimes. Members of the jury, the state has to prove three separate charges, each with their own specific elements, all beyond a reasonable doubt. That is a burden the state will not be able to meet. But from the defense, you'll hear from three witnesses to make sure you hear all the evidence, all of the reasonable explanations. I ask you to pay special attention to the testimony about admission wristbands throughout today's trial, because they're the key to understanding what was really going on with Rock Your World's management. Listen as Mr. Jack Hunter tells you that he saw faded, unnumbered admission bracelets all the way back in 2010. He'll tell you he saw these wristbands in the park accountant's office, next to two sets of accounting books. Listen as Mr. Lou Eccles tells you that he saw these faded, unnumbered wristbands again in 2010. Mr. Eccles will also tell you about some conversations he overheard between the park's owner, Mr. Longstreet, and the accountant, Ms. Floyd. Finally, listen to Mr. Charlie Kaminsky as he identifies the wristbands used in 2012 as the same wristbands seen in the hands of the park's accountant years earlier. Mr. Kaminsky will also tell you about some phone calls Cameron Poole made after the alleged robbery. The alleged robbery is the last thing I want you to focus on. Members of the jury, no witness throughout today's trial will be able to tell you that a robbery even happened. Mr. Laudner said that it will not be disputed that Cameron Poole committed a robbery. That's simply not true. That is a burden the state has to meet. Once you've heard all the evidence, once you see the other people in this picture, you'll see the other side of the story. That's why at the end of today's trial, we will ask you find Whit Bowman not